Okay, so once you have your program element size, approximate size analysis, and the program element relationship analysis done, you've done your design intent and your design theory, um, you've done the relationship analysis as well. It's time to actually render in your functional diagram, and of course you've completed your hand sketch functional diagrams. Now we need to render them. Rendering them is a lot like, it's pretty much the same process that we use for our site analysis map that I have here. And I've actually opened up my site analysis PSD, the Photoshop file, because I can use this as a base. Also what I want to do is, once you've scanned your trace paper that has your functional diagram sketches on it, you will have to open it as a PDF. So I've downloaded it already, and you would just email it to yourself through the fax machine. It's in my downloads. So I'm here, I'm going to open this thing up, and that is the wrong one. Not that one. There we go. Okay. So you'll see that it doesn't allow you to double click and make that a layer. What you need to do is go to the image mode, grayscale. That's fine. I'm going to go back to the mode again. Now I'm going to make it a RGB. Now I'm going to double click. Okay. I'm going to create a layer. Drag to the back. I'm going to make this white. Now I'm going to go back to this line layer. I'm going to go ahead and call that lines 2. And make sure contiguous is deselected. Hit W for my magic wand tool, select the white, delete the white. Alright, now I've written these things down. If you number them actually as you go, it probably makes it easier to drop your fills because you know what color to put in. But now we just need to basically drop our color in. Now if I use the magic wand tool in these line layers now and deselect contiguous, you'll see that it's still spilling through. Why is that? I do not know. Okay. So obviously some of these are closed and some of them aren't. So that's a problem for me right now. So what I want to do to fix that is just drop a stroke on it. Hopefully that'll balance things out. Just make it 1, that's fine. And now when I come in, hopefully, still, it's not acting right. Let me create a layer, Control E. Okay, so now that line is thicker, so now it's reading it as a solid line. Okay. So you just need to drop a stroke on it to thicken up. Sometimes those small semi-transparent breaks in the black will allow the ink to spill out. And you see that we have a lot of this residual kind of graininess from the graphite that I used when I was drawing it on with trace. So, and I actually don't need that anymore either. And we're going to recreate that list anyway. So I'm just going to kind of outline this using my polyagonal lasso tool. Double click. I'm going to do a Control-Shift-I and just delete the rest of that stuff out. I also kind of want to delete some of this stuff in here because that'll stop your fills. Those won't be fill areas. Doesn't look horrible, but just try to make it a little bit cleaner just to quickly kind of erase some of those pieces. And like I said, if you've numbered this, it'll make this process easier. Actually, I should have done that on this, but I didn't, so this is more for demonstration purposes anyway. Really got to get that in there. Okay. Okay. Alright, and there actually should be a shape in there. Let me try to draw that actually real quick. There's some missing a shape. So if you're missing pieces, you can draw things back in. You can use I actually can show you use the pen tool and do a straight line. Just create a layer. And we'll try to use the pen tool at least. Because these things should be closed in on themselves. And what I want to do is actually make that thinner. Oops. So maybe that's a 2. That looks good. I'm just going to merge it into that shape. Okay. Cool. So I have this going. Clean it up a little bit more towards these edges. I'm showing you this in real time. This should go relatively quickly. Once you get all your prep work done for this. Okay. Oh, see, don't want that to happen. Don't want breaks. Alright. So now what I want to do is just copy these lines basically. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to make sure first it's in my image. My image size is going to be 300 because if not, won't come in the same scale. But it should be 11 by 17, so it should pop right in once I do that. Use the marquee tool to select copy. I'm going to come back over here to my old file, and what I want to do now is just do a file, save as, and I'll put it on my desktop. This is just to show you all, but you would call it your functional diagrams. Just rename it. Okay. And what I want to do is just desaturate all this stuff. Maybe not my sun and my wind, so I'm going to drag that up, but everything else I want to merge. Well, before I merge it though, these lines, my lines are on a separate layer, so I can easily turn them on and off. But what I want to do is basically get rid of the title block information in this outline. So I'm going to go around here. I want that north arrow too. And I'm just going to Control-Shift-I and hit delete after I make a copy of this layer. Always good to make copies so you can go back. So now I have the information. I still have some parcel information and topography, but I don't have all that extra content that I have to worry about when I put this thing in InDesign. So now I'll close that back, select the whole area, and I'll actually just do a Control-E to merge it. I'll make a copy of it. I shouldn't need it, but just in case you do, it's good to have copies. Then I'll do the Control-Shift-U to desaturate it to make it black and white, a grayscale. Back over here, let me deselect, use the marquee, M for marquee, select, copy, come back, and Control-Shift-V, and it should pop right into place. So perfect. And then we're going to call this functional diagram, and this would represent one of the team's work, so you all should produce 4 of these, or however many people in your group. Everybody should produce 1. I'm going to call that functional diagram lines 1. I'm going to go ahead and make this into a background group and call that background. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in a group. I'm going to call this F number 1. Keep the property line on top so we can always use it as a reference. It's good to have that. So now we have these lines, so these black lines. Now we need to get color for them. So what I want to do is first create a key or a program element list that depict the colors and what these areas are. And to do that, I'm just going to go back into the approximate size program element assessment and just copy. I'm going to come back into Photoshop. I'm going to grab the text tool, pull the text tool out. I'm going to Control-V, Control A, I don't see it because it's white. Go ahead and make that black. That's cool. And on the top here, I'm going to cap lock and program elements. I want to also make that, really want to make everything bold. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. Make that like 16. Okay. And give it a little space. You can also number these too if you'd like. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's actually incorrect. Let me drag this out. Make sure your text fits in. It's a good example. Make sure everything comes in correctly. What's going on there? Okay. And this way you can just put a number as opposed to putting a whole tag on your in your areas. Oops. So almost done. So, 16, boom, boom. There you go. Okay, so now we have that. Now we need to just allocate color to these program elements. So for the gathering areas, I'm using like hot pink colors or brighter colors. Let's try that. For the rain garden, I like a blue-green, that's good. For the private seating area, still variation, let's do like a purple for the private seating area. The bus stop, that's our spot, maybe like an orange color. Okay. Edible space garden. Let's make that like a kind of a vibrant green. I want that to be strong in the design. Planter bed. You see, I'm just allocating color to these pieces. Then I go to the planter bed. Planter beds can be a darker green. Yeah, that's good. Lawn space is going to be a large part of the green space, so let's try to make that a good color. Okay, let's do native planting. I don't know why I like to always do this. Thing's like a yellow color. It's ugly right now though. Okay, that's better. Vertical landscape. Okay. It's darker green, walking paths. Orange. It's very close to the other one, isn't it? Okay, that's good. Garden tool storage area. Let's make that like a brown color. Maybe it needs to be brighter because this thing is pretty dark. So let's do that like that. Water feature. Let's make that a bright blue. Art element. Art element can be maybe oops, I didn't get anything, did I? Yeah, I did. Maybe that's a blue. Okay. Parking will be a gray color. Gazebo. Gazebo can be like a what? I'm just trying to be looking at these things and trying to make sure you have colors that give some type of contrast. Okay. Alright, it looks pretty good to me. Alright, cool. So now we have a color palette, right? So now all we have to do is just tag these pieces or use our eyedropper tool and then drop in colors. So I'm going to make a color layer and call that color. And I'm going to go back to the line right now. I'm going to start pulling these different areas. I know that I made those the private seating areas. I think that was it for that. So I'll go back to color. And I'll go to my private seating area, which was that purple color. I'm in my color. I'm just going to Control Shift F5. There. I'm going to pull the color below the lines too, so we can see all our work. I know that's going to be the lawn space. So color. Let me go back and grab that lawn color. That green. Make sure you're in your color layer when you do this. Shift F5. I'm going to drop that color in. Go back to lines again. I know this is going to be my planter beds. It's going to be a planter bed. It's going to be a planter bed. Or maybe that's not actually. Planter bed, planter. Yeah, that's a planter bed. We'll call that a planter bed. Alright, go to my color. Use my eyedropper tool. And I'm hitting I to select that. Planter bed is going to be this darker green. My color, Shift F5. There goes your green. Let's go back to your lines. I know it's going to be the edible garden. Just go ahead and get that out of the way. In my color, Shift F5. Back to the lines again. This is going to be, I believe, art pieces. I know that's art as well. That's water feature. Okay. We'll call that art for now. And the arts are going to be blue. And just Shift F5. Come back over to lines again. And the same thing over again. Let me go ahead and get these vertical landscapes done. I believe that's it for the vertical landscapes color. Grab that vertical landscape color. And the color. There's that. And you see how fast this can go. And the cool thing about doing these shapes is some of these you can have the same shape layout, but they have different uses in different places. For instance, these could be more gathering areas instead of being art pieces or sculptural pieces. Maybe that could become the gazebo. That's a little small, but you know what I'm talking about. You can change some of these uses up, so there's something else to think about. So what else do we lack? Those are going to be water features. I believe that's it for water features. So back to color. Let me grab that water feature. Shift F5. Back to lines. And I know it's going to be my gazebo. So let's get that out of the way. And make sure you get that color. There it goes. Back to lines. Let me grab the garden tool storage area. Yep. Okay. And I believe these are going to be, we'll call them vertical pieces too. Okay, and yes. And then let's get our gathering areas. There should be one there too. Color, gathering, social, so that's that. We're gonna do that. I think that's another art piece right there. So I'll go back and I'll grab that art color. Yeah, back. I think I'm doing that native planting. And I'm doing native planting. Yeah. So native planting is going to be this. Color, shift 5. Oh, shift 5. There it is. Go ahead and get this parking area. There'll be a big element in there. Grab that gray, shift 5. It's almost done now. I think this is going to be a walkway, a major walking path. Make sure, there we go. And color, drop that in. And I believe that's going to be a planter. And oh no, this is going to be the bus stop. There you go. And this is going to then be the rain garden. It's a small, just sad little rain garden, but this is just one functional diagram. Okay, so then, bam. So I think I got all the colors in right now. Cool. So there goes a rendering functional diagram. Now all you have to do from here is just really reduce the opacity. And as you do that, you can begin to see your design beneath. In this case, you can go ahead and make it like 60. So that's the first part. So you're just going to get those pieces in. Now you see your lines on top, and that's great. And that should be 100. That's fine. All right. And you can play with the opacity of these things. And if you don't like your lines, if you don't like the colors for some reason, you can always do an image or a layer, new adjustment layer, hue and saturation. Use the previous layer, and use this slider to kind of change some of these, some of them around, some of the colors around to see, maybe you'll get something else that you like. Maybe it's brighter. That's cool. And you can play with a lot of these different combinations, but make sure if you change this though, make sure that these colors correspond with your program element colors that you've used. So I'm not going to fool with it right now. I just don't want to make things more complicated. This is just an example. So now what you need to do, once you have that, I would just go ahead and maybe group this stuff. So that's just kind of the areas. And now what I want to do is circulation. So circulation, and it's the same way we did the other circulation. So I'm just going to create a layer, hit pen for my pen tool, change this to a dot, or the dots rather, make sure it's on center. Okay, looks good. 5 I think is going to be good for this. First one just here to here. Let's do another layer, so I know this is a walkway here. Do another layer. This is going to be a walkway cutting through here. It's kind of going like that. I'm just going to wrap this shape. Okay. And then I'm creating another layer. Kind of go to these other areas a little bit, maybe. It does something like that. It comes around like that. So on and so forth. Maybe it's going like that. So another one. This is coming out here like that. This is coming out here like that. Maybe it's going like that. There. So I'm just adding these pedestrian lines, just showing how circulation might go. Yeah, it was coming out right there. So that's actually going to cut through here like that. Alright. That looks good to me. So I would go ahead and make a copy of that and just merge those like we've done before, so that it's one piece. And I'll come in here and I'll just erase these little ones. So I'll zoom in. Just erase that. Okay, there you go. And then again, these quickly make these arrowheads. So I'm gonna do an arrowhead. That looks good. I'm gonna go black. Shift F5. Same way we did the other ones. Control T. Holding Shift to get it to be that right angle. Just shift this up. I think that looks right. There. So there's an arrowhead for us. And might be a little big. I'm just gonna turn it down a little bit. That's good. Control T again. Turn it. Move it over. Another one here. Here. These might be a little big for it, but just you can play with your arrowhead size. I just want to show you how to do this quickly. This is coming off here. Change this around there. Here, one right there. One right here. Control T it, just rotate it. Put that right there. And right here. Let's hit it here. Rotate it. Almost there. Alright, coming down. This one coming down. This one over here. Going this way. And over here going this way. Okay. Alright, so it looks decent. So deselect, and then what you would do for that is on your circulation, just add a stroke. Just make it pop a little bit. I'm going to make that stroke white. I'm going to make that like a 4. Looks good, it's really popping. I also want to drop a shadow on it, just to give it a little lift. It looks good. Okay, so now I have circulation cutting through my my areas that I've defined very quickly. Now you can also, we use different colors for all these, and I think they're pretty easily distinguishable, but if you'd like to add numbers to this too, to add further clarity, that's fine. You can add that to each piece, but that's basically how you would build these. And once you have these things done, you would just file, save as. I'm saving mine as JPEGs this time in my own personal file, so I'd create a subfolder. And remember, everything needs to be organized in your group's Google Drive folder neatly. So find a way to do that, whatever you all decide on. But I'm going to call that just functional diagram number 1, F number 1. And then I would save that, in this case, to my desktop. Make it 11. And it would save maximum. There it is. And again, like I said, you can definitely play with the colors. This one I'm not in love with, but it's good for representational purposes, I think. And you can also play with these areas if you have time. You can also go in and burn, like we did the sidewalks and stuff, and kind of give this thing a little bit more life. And before I do that, though, I always like making copies because you never ever know if you want to go back. So let's just go ahead and we can go back and burn some of these and make it look a little bit better. Give it some depth. So I'm burning that, and maybe some of that to give it some more interest. Maybe a little bit of that. There. Definitely want to burn that. Kind of coming in. And it just kind of gives it some more visual interest so it's not so just boring and plain. Burning is a good way to add some depth to these drawings. And it's kind of coming in and just that. And some of these darker areas. Alright, so just playing with it a little bit, just giving it a little bit more variation, a little bit more interest when people look at it. Also, I gave myself the option too, and I'll leave you the option of, I thought I did at least, of turning that sun layer on and off. I must have deleted it. But you can always go back to your analysis if you guys use that sun piece going across. The sunrise and sunset, that can help give it some pop too and some lift. But that's basically how you create these functional diagrams. Hope that was helpful. If any questions, you can send me an email, make comments on these videos, or just ask me in person.